If the first thing you do in the morning is check your phone, we need to talk. For so many years, I've practiced a morning routine. I've tweaked it along the way, but when I do it, I am dialed in for the day. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what I do, and I promise you, if you stick to it, it will change your day, and ultimately your day will change how you operate, how you live, and just make it an overall better life. I learned this many years ago that a morning routine is simply a game changer. And I started it with a few things, but over the years, I feel like I've mastered it. And today I want to share it with you. So, first thing I do when I wake up is, I do my thing, I wash my face, and then get dressed and turn on my PEMF mat and get that all ready. It takes about maybe 15 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer to heat up. Meanwhile, I go take a full glass of water and start checking my scores overnight. Not everybody's going to do that, but I'm a little obsessed with looking at my numbers and making sure I don't go in any bad direction. So I weigh myself, I check my body fat and all the things with my bod pod, and check my blood pressure, and check my Oura ring to make sure that my sleep is on track. And all of it generally comes in optimal condition, but sleep has been the one that I've been focused on the most lately. And for the last month or two, I seem to have figured out my evening routine that I'll share in another video that seems to have that dialed in. So I go out and do all these measurements. Those take about 3 minutes at the most. I go to a game. So I have my iPad out. I play a game of Wordle, and just to get my mind thinking a little bit, and throw on a red light hat that helps, hopefully, started about a month ago, promote hair growth, and a little some glasses that have a red light to it that helps ideally with my wrinkles under my eyes, because I don't want to necessarily look my age. But that's the routine I have, and that takes, after I wake up and turn on the mat, 10 or 15 minutes. Then I go into the other room, I lay on the mat, but I start with a little bit of a breathing exercise that I'll share again on another video, but it's just do some breath work. That's about 5 minutes. Go into some meditation. By then, the mat is heated up, and I flip on a sound that mimics rain or a fireplace or something like that, to where I just drift off in a meditation. Sometimes I even fall asleep. I set the timer for the mat, and I failed to mention this, but I put a red light thing over my face while I lay on the mat. So I'm doing a few things at the same time. The thing over my face, laying on the PMF mat, and meditating a little bit. Sometimes I even put on some dental strips to help keep my teeth white. So I'm doing 4 things sometimes at the same time. This is for 30 minutes. So I lay there. Sometimes I fall back asleep, and that's not going to hurt, or I have a great meditation. So one of those 2 things happen in those 30 minutes. Let me back up a second, because this is one of the things that I feel like I've mastered. I get up early. So it wasn't easy at first, but the key to getting up early is going to bed early. Making sure you get 7 to 8 hours sleep. So if I'm going to bed at 8:30, anytime after 4:30, I've got to assume that I was maybe awake an hour or 2 through the night. So I try to stay in bed and fall asleep at least until 4:30, 5 o'clock, knowing there I get about 7 hours, sometimes 8 hours of sleep. Again, turn on the mat, go out, do a few things, lay on the mat. Afterwards, I go out into the room. I have a book that I read, and I make some matcha tea, and then grab my favorite book that I'm reading at the time, and I make it a goal to read 10 pages minimum. So that will take me anywhere from 10, 15 minutes to, on some harder reads, maybe a half hour. I have carved out an hour. Most people don't need that much time in the morning. So I've already spent a half hour laying on a mat, about a half hour before that, just prepping, and then an hour blocked out for reading and learning. So I'll read a minimum of 10 pages, sometimes a little longer. Then I'll go to some YouTube videos. And that's the first time I'm really looking at the screen, except when I play a quick game of Wordle. And I'm looking for some other mind games. I just believe that if I can get my mind working right before meditation, then I can work on calming it. And I just tend to feel great doing this. So an hour of learning. So far I've been up maybe 2 hours, and I've meditated. I've done some red light and PMF therapy. I have gotten some learning in and just calmed myself. And then I go out to my gym and I have a good workout. So this routine, I should have specified, is for a strength training day. You notice I didn't put any type of cold plunge in there, because cold plunging before you strength train, it just diminishes your return. So I don't cold plunge on strength training days anymore. If so, I'll do it 4 hours after, if I'm in the mood, and generally it would wake me up mid-afternoon if I, for whatever reason, need that. So I'm 2 hours in, I've had a cup of tea, and now I'm going to the gym to work out, and I'll spend maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes doing a little bit of stretching and warming up, and then I'll spend 45 minutes with a routine, and I'm generally mixing it up, upper body and lower body, and I separate strength days with cardio days, but basically 3 to 4 days a week strength training, and hit the upper body one day, hit the lower body the next, and I'm just really pushing the weight, and that's taken some time too. So, at first, I've injured myself lifting too heavy too fast. So, I really recommend starting out with maybe getting a trainer at the gym and learning proper techniques if you haven't done it before. If you've done it before, you know how. Get after it. Lift something you could control. Keep increasing the weight as you move through the weeks and months and years ahead. And the goal here is to build strength and build muscle. Strength matters as we age. Muscle matters as we age. Muscle kind of for looks, but larger muscles are better, they've found, as we age. And certainly strength, your ability to do all the things you're doing now, walking up hills and jumping into vehicles and climbing ladders and running around with the kids and not getting fatigued throughout the day. It's that strength training that's going to get you there. Plus, strength training just builds an enormous amount of confidence. When you look good and you feel strong, there's nothing that for me that could match that, because I don't feel my age when I feel like I look better. Somebody, when they haven't been exercising at all for years, it shows. I'm not going to say that I don't look younger. I certainly don't. I don't feel as old as many of my peers that aren't exercising. I've got an abundance of energy, and that has to do with a whole bunch of other stuff too. But so I get a good strength training exercise in, and once that's done, depending on the time of year, I'll generally take Coco, my pup, for a walk. That's about a half mile to a mile. Takes about 20 minutes to 50 minutes. And that's almost like a walking meditation. I just, sometimes I'll listen to a book, but generally, or a podcast, but generally I just walk take in the outside air, the morning sunlight, man. And I'll tell you, by the end of that walk, I just feel so good. Now, when I get in the habit, and it's occasional, seasonal, when I don't go through the same morning routine. So we were just on a 4-day getaway, Katie and I didn't stick to every one of those details. And it sounds so rigid when you have boom, da boom, da boom, but it just flows once you get going. So I don't. There might be some things in between that I do, but I make sure that those are the main things that I do every single day. So once I walk the dog, I come in, I make a protein shake. I make sure I get my morning creatine and protein, and then I do what I call shower and shine. So I take a shower, and then I do oral and face and hair care. And I get dressed, and then I'm ready to hit the day, whatever that may be. So I want to emphasize that I feel like I hit the main things first. So before 8 o'clock even gets here, I've already gotten my mind right through meditating. I feel like I've got my insides dialed in with the breath work and laying on a PMF mat. I feel like I'm healing my skin and face by red light therapy. I feel like I'm doing a program to try to grow back some hair, and I'll be excited to show if there's any results. Who knows? I get some learning in, some reading. I try to read nonfiction, stuff that really inspires me. If I don't like the book going into it, I'm not stuck on having to read the whole book. I'll get into another one. I've got plenty of books, and sometimes I read for a second and third time. And so I get my learning in. I listen to generally a couple different types of YouTube videos. I'll watch something on longevity and health span. I'll watch something on investing, and typically those are the top ones. And occasionally some leadership videos. I'll spend no more than 20-30 minutes on a video, and I'll go back to it later that day if it's really interesting, or just move on to the next tomorrow morning, and then load up my water and go out to the gym and start my workout. So I've had like this full-on strength workout that, for those of you who exercise every morning, you know what it feels like when you've done it for a while and then you don't. Something's missing. And for me, I realized probably 10 years ago that when life was off for me, for whatever reason, I wasn't feeling real motivated or real happy or super energetic and ambitious, one of two things wasn't happening, and that's reading and that's exercising. Meditation has just been an add-on, and quite frankly, it might be the most important thing that I do in the morning. I'm doing, like I said, for a little bit, and then hopefully the whole time laying on the PMF mat that I hold a meditation. But my goal this year is to get that meditation up to 45 minutes-ish to maybe an hour, because I'm reading some really interesting things about being able to be by yourself, really not thinking anything, just breathing, concentrating on the breath for an hour. I'm curious to see what that does. I also, every so often in the morning, don't do a protein shake, and I'll fast till noon or 1 o'clock. A few weeks ago, I did a cleanse and fasted for 2 days prior, and that was interesting because I did this cleanse. I still stuck with the morning routine. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to exercise vigorously on this cleanse, and I did. I didn't have any problems with it, and honestly, I can't remember a time that I felt so good. Specific foods and specific supplements, and man, the energy was just so great. And my mood was just so on top of it, and feeling really awesome. Um, on days that I'm going to do some form of cardio, uh, I wake up, go through the face wash and the um, setting up the mat and all that stuff. But I'll do a cold plunge first. So I'll go out first thing. The cold plunge is set generally between 45 and sometimes as high as 55, but generally around 50 degrees. And I jump in the cold water, and I'm in the cold water for, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes. When I'm down around 45 degrees, I'll go for 3 minutes. This last week, there was a sauna out on the beach up in Tahoe, and Katie and I spent 20 minutes in the sauna, and then went into the lake. So I went into the lake for 2 minutes, and it was very cool, very exhilarating, but really challenging. So when I cold plunge, I keep my hands out of the water, and I forgot to do that. Went in the lake, so I went in and got down up to about my chin, and realized that my hands were friggin' getting cold. So I put my hands above, and the reason I could tell how long I was in there is I could tell by Katie's video, because she videoed me doing this, and I was in there for about 2 minutes. So shorter time than my usual 3. But I did some research afterwards and checked the average temperature of Lake Tahoe in February, and it was around 41 degrees. So they said sometimes it gets as low as 40-ish, sometimes as high as 41 and a half, 42. So I figured it was about 41 degrees, maybe a little cooler, I don't know. It was cold. And so I got out and got back in the sauna. And that routine, I felt so good all day. And I'll get into on some other videos on the specifics about what cold plunging does for you and what saunas do for you. I don't do any saunas in my morning routine. Number one, because I don't have a sauna yet here at the house. We're planning on putting one here shortly. And I'll talk about the benefits. There are so many more benefits to sitting in a sauna at least 20 minutes a day than cold plunging. But what cold plunging does for me, it just wakes me up. I mean, it's a little shocking. I feel like I did something very challenging first thing in the morning, because it's not easy to go step in a tub that is very, very cold and just do it. And I know that it's going to take 7 or 8 seconds for it to feel okay. So there's, it's a little bit of a struggle for 7 seconds. And just remember, it's just cold. It's not going to kill you. So you get in, you feel better in 7 seconds. I actually enjoy it after about 10, 15 seconds and feel like I could sit in for a long time, but I don't, because the advice is not to stay in for more than 5 minutes. And I started at, I'm digressing a little bit, but I started at 59 degrees, 60 degrees, a year and a half ago, I don't know, and slowly decreased it over, a few weeks every couple weeks, I'd bring it down to where I got down to 40 degrees, even got down as low as 35 on a couple occasions. I don't know how great that is for you. There's some debate going on. But back to how I feel. I feel so flipping good getting out. I did something very, very challenging to start my day. That does something to us mentally. It makes us not fear things, knowing that we're not going to die doing something like this. And that I can do some hard things. And there's a lot to that. Plus, I don't really need any caffeine afterwards, although I do love my cup of matcha now in the morning. I stopped coffee a while back, a couple months ago, because I was having some heartburn with it. Now occasionally I'll drink a cup of coffee because that thing's all fixed, I believe. But the cold plunge, I feel so good. It's a bummer that I don't get to lift weights that day. I'll do some treadmill work, which is, some zone 2 work or VO2 max. So on my endurance days or my cardio days that I'm not lifting, I do the cold plunge, and for the most part, everything else remains the same. I'll get in from the cold plunge, I'll dry off, I'll get on the PMF mat and do some red light and meditate a little bit, and then get into reading, and then jump on a treadmill or get on the rowing machine, which I occasionally do, mostly treadmill during the winter. In the summer, I'll get outside and go for a more aggressive hill walk. I just walk slow, steady, uphill for 45 to 60 minutes. I try to do 150 minutes a week. So you could do the math. It's 2 days at 60 minutes and, another day at a half hour. So pretty easy to do. I do that generally on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And on the 30-minute day, I'll add to it a VO2 max workout. That is kind of an all-out where you can't really talk. You're breathing so hard, and then you bring your heart rate down, and then you go at it again. And you do that 4, 5, 10 times. And I make little notes to make sure I'm improving. But bottom line is, our VO2 max matters with aging, just like muscle and strength. VO2 max matters as well. So I do that at least 1 day a week. Generally, it is 1 day a week because it's not VO2 max training sucks. But zone 2, all the other times, is pretty easy. It's walking up a treadmill or rowing steadily, or when I used to do more cycling, it's just going on a long, nice tempo ride. And then take the dog on the walk. On the days that it's still dark outside, I'll do everything else, the shake, and make sure I get significant protein in the morning, and hydrate, and do all those things. Take a shower and do all my personal care stuff, and then I'll go walk Coco for 20 minutes at least. And like I said, that I want to reiterate again is that try this. Don't just try it for a day, because I don't sit around with a watch and say, okay, I'm going to do this for a half hour or do that for an hour. You do it so often, and when you're done, it's plus or minus 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sometimes my workout ends 15 minutes earlier. Sometimes, I walk the dog fast because I have to get back, get ready, and go to a meeting, things like that. But I generally get all those things in. I've got them on my calendar, so I check them off in the morning, and it's lame. I like seeing accomplishments. It inspires me to get through the rest of the day. So I do that. There's a few other things I'm incorporating into my morning routines. Haven't done it long enough to have it be a habit yet, but the vibration plate Katie got me for Christmas. I'm reading the benefits of that, and I think that's it. I making sure that I'm getting enough protein every day. And when you get off to a good start, like you get through midday and you realize you've already studied and learned, you've already meditated, you've already gotten your exercise in, you just feel real good about self-care. So now you're not, when you try to do any of these things that I've mentioned later in the day, oftentimes you'll skip them. And you're going to find when you work out early in the morning that even though it's really hard if you haven't done it to start, and then to start early, it's tough. But once you build that habit and that discipline, you'll get to a point in about 30 days where that you start hungering for it, like you miss it. We were on this 4-day trip, and I only went into the gym once. And the 2 other days, I didn't do any type of exercise. And we walked around a little bit, but I wouldn't call any of it a workout. But we did, qualify as a self-care. We did some massages and lots of sauna and those kind of things, which is very, very important too. And on the days of a morning routine where I'm not exercising, strength training, or doing cardio, I'll call it a recovery day. And that's one day a week generally. Sometimes I don't have a recovery day, but I won't work out. I'll do more stretching and balance, those kinds of things, on a day that I just don't feel like going all out lifting or walking. I'll do some other things. I try to get on the mat stretching or doing balance though, every morning before the workout, and for sure for a whole workout, at least a couple 3 days a month, and it really helps. Some goofy things that I do in the morning that I'm just, man, I know that as we age, the experts talk about grip strength, being able to hold things matter, balance matters. So while taking a shower, you guys you're already thinking I'm goofy, but I'll stand on one leg for 1 minute, and I'll stand on another leg for a minute, and then I'll stand on one leg and shut my eyes and try to do that for, I count at a little bit faster pace, and I can get to 25. So I'm probably doing it 12 to 20 seconds on each leg with my eyes shut, because that matters too, balance. It's everything as we age, because once you fall down after 65, you got a pretty, if you have to have hip surgery or you break a leg or something, the chance of recovering, being yourself again, is very, very low. So I want to make sure that balance is always a top priority. Grip strength's a top priority. Endurance is a top priority. I've painted this picture, not literally painted, but I've drawn out a life plan and the things I want to be doing 20 years from now and beyond are the things I'm doing now. I just have seen close up this last year and a half of loved ones unable to do things. So it's about taking care of the things I have control of. The other thing I'm going to start paying more attention to is when I say I start with Wordle. I guess it's kind of fun because I share it with some friends. We share it, and so I feel like I'm helping my mind, but a game of Wordle doesn't do it. There's a whole bunch of other things that I'm incorporating in my day that's going to require really thinking. Reading does it a little bit, meditation helps, but really stress management and intentionally doing things that force me to work on my brain a little bit. And I'm currently reading a book by Dave Asprey that's inspiring me to do some brain work, because heck, one of the reasons we die, and it's, there's no cure for it yet, is Alzheimer's, dementia. So it's important that I get control of what I can and make it part of my morning routine again, so I could know that it's all done in the first 3 hours. I wake up at 4:30 or 5, I'm done by 8, and that's every single day I'm doing these things. And for some people, God, they don't want to be that rigid, but for me, it feels so good. Little tricks I do in the morning is I'll get a fire going. For some reason, having a cup of matcha and reading a book and having my little red hat on, with a fire going, with my pups around, it just sets the mood. And however, sometimes it's hard to get up off the couch and go work out, but I do, and that makes for just an awesome start of a day. My next video will be what I do in the evening to wind down, but I hope this inspires you to start getting a routine dialed in the morning, and trust that if you do it over time, add your own little things to it, and I promise you that you're going to feel really good and that you're going to be headed in the right direction. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you have any input onto how I can improve that, or you want to make fun of me. Go right ahead. I have thick skin, but I really want to inspire you to come on this journey with me.